Talk to us about the U.S. Bitcoin reserve, everyone. And we've heard a couple other coins being yelled out by the crowd. And people want to know, are we going to have a U.S. Bitcoin reserve? And when is that going to happen?
The way to think about Bitcoin is it's the most powerful digital network in the world. It is cyber power. If you want to dominate the next 100 years, just like the last 100 years is based upon dominating sea power, fire power, air power, space power, nuclear power. You want to dominate cyberspace. You want cyber power. It's the unstoppable network that no one can corrupt. And the use of the unstoppable network, among other things, is hundreds of trillions of dollars of capital moving from point A to point B. But the other use of the network is I can send a message which is unstoppable, and I can store information that is unstoppable, and I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the authenticity of an instruction or a document. No country, no company, no individual, not a trillion computers can corrupt that message. So if you want to own the future, you want to own cyberspace. How do you own cyberspace? You own Bitcoin, and then you run the Bitcoin networks. You mine Bitcoin, you own Bitcoin. President Trump understands property. He understands the value of Greenland. He understands the value of Alaska. He understands the value of oil rights. He understands, drill, baby, drill would be impossible if we didn't own the land, right?
He understands American dominance.
And land is physical property. When I run electricity through semiconductors and I create a wall of encrypted energy, I create digital property. Bitcoin is digital property. You should own it. Your company should own it. Our nation should own it. It is the future.
In your perspective, how soon do you think we're going to be buying Bitcoin and have within our U.S. reserve at a timeline? You think it's going to be 12 months, 24 months?
I think there's an appreciation of the power of Bitcoin throughout the cabinet, throughout the House, throughout the Senate. There's going to be a political process by which we build consensus with the White House, the Senate, and the cabinet, and find the right way through. But, what I would say on this topic is the U.S. could own 20% of the network like that for free. The dollar would strengthen, the nation would be enriched. And the real promise is if you own 4 to 6 million Bitcoin, you're going to pay off the entire national debt. You're going to neutralize it. We can generate a $50 trillion to $80 trillion benefit to the United States people, to the citizens, to the taxpayers, and we can do it simply by seeing the future. It cost $6 million to buy Alaska. The payoff was $1 trillion. Just like right now, you can literally buy it for a song and dance. That's the opportunity. The risk is that you wouldn't want the Saudis to buy it first, or the Russians, or the Chinese, or the Europeans. And there's only room for one nation state to buy up 20% of the network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States. I think it will be the United States. It's a way for us to enrich ourselves and emerge as a creditor nation in a matter of a decade. It's also a way for us to ensure that we're the economic leaders in cyberspace and the digital economy for the next 100 years. And if we do that, every one of our allies will follow us, and then all of our enemies will end up having to buy into the network once it passes 10 or 20 million a coin, and they will enrich us.
And we saw that just yesterday. President Trump was in Miami, and he was talking about Bitcoin. The Bitcoin reserve is a touchy subject. A lot of people want to know what other coins within the digital asset industry are going to be involved. The U.S. does not just hold just gold and oil within our reserve. It holds up to 27 other trace minerals. And so we're completely diversified. Do you see room for another digital asset to be included in the Bitcoin reserve or the U.S. financial reserve system?
I think the key thing to keep in mind right now is that Bitcoin is a commodity. It is an asset without an issuer. There is no company, no individual, no country, no entity that can corrupt it. It has reached escape velocity. It has gotten to the point where it is basically a freedom virus, a truth virus, a monetary virus. It has been embraced by $1 trillion of smart money. That is, $1 trillion of real money has been invested in the network. It is 99% of the digital power on Earth. It's fairly unstoppable. And so if you're going to capitalize a company or a country, you want to capitalize it on property or a commodity or a network which is beyond the point where anybody could change the nature of it. And so that makes Bitcoin the most certain thing in the digital universe.
And when you talk about certainty, and when you talk about truth, over the last 4 years, we've experienced as a culture travesty. We haven't been able to speak. We've been censored. What is Bitcoin to you? What do you see that others don't? And how can conservatives capitalize on the opportunity to take advantage and make sure that America is dominating our future, that we have the economic freedoms, that our children and our families in America will stay at the front runner of this industry?
What I would say to everybody in this room is if you want freedom, if you want liberty, if you want to live your finest life, you're going to need economic power. You need physical power, you need political power, but you need economic power. Bitcoin represents economic armor. When you put on the suit of armor, then no mayor, no government, no collectivist, no socialist can debank you. They can't take your money away. They can't impoverish you. Just like a gun is a deterrent, Bitcoin is a deterrent, because if you have wealth in Bitcoin, you have the option to move it to any jurisdiction, and you can keep it, and no one can take it away from you via force of violence, no matter where you are on Earth. And so Satoshi gave us an opportunity. I hope I intrigue all of you with the opportunity, and you go do the research and determine for yourself how you benefit from it. But I just leave you with the thought that Bitcoin is economic armor.
You have, Michael. Thank you. God willing, we have as much Bitcoin as Michael one day. This is a defining moment for digital assets. It's a defining moment for our country. We thank all of you. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. CPAC is going to be at the front of the digital asset industry. We see Bitcoin and the entire industry as a significant resource for our country and our people. Thank you, everyone. God bless.